Hey everybody, I am joined right now by Tommy Fierro. You know him from promoting his 80s Wrestling Con events, now Monday night virtual signings, and this Labor Day you can catch him at the return of ISPW Labor Day weekend, September 5th. ISPW is coming back with a big event in Butler, New Jersey. We're going to talk about that, what Tommy's been up to in the meantime. We featured him in the Best for the Business feature last year. We're going to catch up on everything he's been doing and future plans, everything. How you doing today?
Hey man, how are you? How you been? All right.
Yeah. So
I'm coming from you live from the Wrestling Collector in Stockholm, New Jersey, right now.
there you go. That's the one plug I didn't fit in. I'll start
that's
there.
not, that's not just fit it in for you.
Right? That's like the one that when we recorded the last time, it was like not finalized yet, and I was like, oh man, I wish we would have pushed it back like a week later. But you have your own. I won't call it a store; it's an experience. It's the Wrestling Collector. You have memorabilia, in-person signings. You got a lot going on. Uh, Talk about how that's been going. You were doing just the virtual signings at a separate location, and now you're bringing it into the store. How's that all been going for you?
Well, actually, I'm still doing them I'm doing the virtual signings at the hotel. I one of the signings the hotel couldn't do. They had something booked. They couldn't get out of the date. So I tried it at my store, but it just wasn't the same. The Wi-Fi up here where I'm at is not nearly as good as down there. Like I'm up like in the mountains kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried it one time. There's more room in the hotel as well. So I'm keeping the signings there. But the store's been great, man. Thank you for asking. We opened it on St. Patrick's Day this year, and we just started doing some in-store signings as well. Now that things are starting to open back up a little bit, we've had so far at the store we've had Tito Santana, we had the Rock Roll Express, Savio Vega, we had Demolition, we had Tonga Kid, Brooklyn Brawler, Eugene. We had a few others as well,
Just had Barry
and
Horowitz, right?
yeah, we just had Barry Horowitz last week, and then this coming weekend, I'm not sure when this is gonna post, but we have Bushwhacker Luke, Barry Woodham, Akeem, and Tugboat this weekend, and then we're working on some more signings as well. So yeah, now that things are opening back up a little bit, it's easier to get people to come out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I tell people it's an experience to store because you walk in and it's not just there's other wrestling stores out there, and a lot of it focuses on action figures. Whereas if you were to walk in my store right now, it's like it threw up wrestling merchandise from like every era, and there's everything in there. We have over 3,000 wrestling magazines. We have tons of DVDs. We have LJNs. We have autographed pictures. We have rare stuff too that you just can't find. Like I have the old foam fingers of like Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, the old '80s big, glass mugs. There's a little bit of everything. Tons of Coliseum videos. There's a little bit of everything in the store, which is cool. And the cool thing is when people walk in, the most of them say, "Wow, I don't know where to look first," or "This brings me back to my childhood." And that's exactly the two things I want them to think and say when they walk in here, because it's cool. And I tell them, and it's the truth too. Every time they come back, it's going to be something different because I buy collections from people, so you never know what's going to be here in the store. One day, you can walk in and you're looking for something that's not there, and then the next time you come back, it could be. I've had people, bring in crates of stuff that they want to sell, and sometimes it's nothing special, and sometimes it's fantastic. A lot of people have this stuff laying um, in their basement or their storage unit, just collecting dust. And the old expression, one person's junk's another person's treasure. And especially with the show out now on that WWE is doing, the hidden treasures, and since the pandemic, collecting has just been sky high for not just wrestling, for every aspect of collecting. So it's the right time, I think, to do something like this.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how you look at how like memorabilia has changed, and I like went through that myself. So like I have a couple things that I was like, oh man, I wish I held on to, or like when I see it, I'm like, I wish, like I had the budget to buy it. But it it's like just kind of cool because this stuff isn't being made. It's not like it's not mass produced where you can go order it if you want it. And like this is legit. Like you have to get it at the right place, the right time. And, I, I mean, that would be pretty cool if they showed up. A&E was like, oh, hey, you know that thing you have hanging in the back of your store? Like, right?
Yeah, sure, man. Sure.
But,
Yeah, a lot of people ask me, like, do you have like an online store? I really don't, because I have a website, thewrestlingcollector.com. And there's a couple things on the website, but it's hard to put stuff up on the website because I might have one of something or two of something, because like I said, I'm buying collections. So it's hard to post everything online. So it's kind of like an in-store experience. You have to be in this area to come to it and see it. And a lot of people too, they say, oh, they have to do another. The store's not gigantic, but there's a lot of stuff in it. So people say, oh, I got to do a second walk around to see, because I missed that Goldberg remote control the first time around. So there's just little odd, weird things here and there throughout the store. It's pretty cool. I'll tell you a funny story here real quick. I didn't know prior to opening the store, because I know last time we spoke I was working on opening the store. I had no idea when they opened the store that there was a card craze, not just for wrestling cards, but Garbage Pail Kids, sports cards. There's a huge card craze since the pandemic. So I didn't know this. So last year, a year ago, before the pandemic started, I actually bought like 20 boxes of 1987 WWF Topps cards, brand new boxes with 36 packs in each box. I was selling the packs like $6 each on my social media, my 80s wrestling social media. Just nothing special. They're just making a couple bucks. And I had a box of them left when I opened the store. So I put the box out the first day I opened. Now I paid $90 for this box of cards, Bill. $90 on eBay. So, like I said, $6 a pack I was selling for. So someone came in, they saw it, they bought the whole box. Oh, cool, man! I'll go home and I'll order some more tonight on eBay for the store. So I go home later that night and go on eBay and type in 1987 WWF Topps. Those boxes of cards that I was paying $90 for are now $650 a box. Bro, I want to take my head and ram it through the wall. I had 20 boxes of them just a year ago.
oh man.
So I had no idea that there was a card craze. So some wrestling collector I am that I didn't know that. But I knew very quickly after that. So, and you look on eBay, I mean, there's certain cards out there, like the Hulk Hogan rookie card or that one Rock card from that tribute card set to go from. I'm like, the prices are insane. If you don't know about the card craze, just go on eBay and start typing stuff in, and people are bidding on this stuff. It's mind boggling.
I just looked up one now because it's like the wax pack with like the red, white, and blue wrapper. I remember the wrapper, but there is a box on here.
Yeah,
it's going for $400 right now.
Oh, that's cheaper than what it was. When
Yeah.
I back in March, it was $650. People were bidding on it at that price. So
that's one that I just found, like, and there's a ton of listings, like individual cards and all kinds of stuff. Like, I remember, like, now that I'm looking at some of the cards, it's, some of them are very familiar. Like, I didn't buy them when they were out because I was too young, but I remember seeing, like, you used to go to the mall and like they'd have card shows and like you'd see this stuff laying out, and I've gone through card collecting in phases, but I'm kind of aware that the price, like, the market fluctuates or whatever, but like sometimes it's crazy to think like what some of these new cards are getting, and they're like like half of a signature, and it's like really people are paying for that. But then you see this stuff and you're like, yeah, I would pay a certain amount for that. So,
and some of this is based off of Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins podcasts. I'm not saying the cards are, but like they'll pretty much dictate the market value on something, and it goes off of that. A lot of it does. I think so, like with the figures and all that stuff. But then figures, man, they're like if you have LJN's new in the box or you have Hasbro's new in the box, I mean, you're talking big time money here. Like I know me personally, and I'm sure you and everyone else that grew up in our era, man, that had those are kicking themselves in the butt that they opened them, because if they're still new on the package, I mean, you're talking about you're talking anywhere between for LJN's could be anywhere from 300 to 3,000 depending on what the figure is. You get one of the black carded figures, they go for a ton of money. So and then the Hasbro's, they're red hot too if they're still new in the package. Even not in the package, those little Hasbro's go for, depending on which one, can range from anywhere from $20 to $50 each. So I mean, there's a lot of money in those collectibles, as well as like old magazines as well. I see a market for that now too, like especially the old WWF magazines from like 84 to 1993. Like if the magazine's in great shape and there's no bends or rips or tears or anything like that, I mean those magazines from like 84 to 84 and 85 could range anywhere from $50 to $100 a magazine, and anything from 86 to 90, depending on the magazine, which cover it is, what year it is, can be again anywhere from 25 to $50. I mean, there's definitely a market right now for wrestling collectibles and just collectibles in general, obviously.
Yeah. So this was like when I didn't know what the market was. I had the Dusty Rhodes Hasbro, and like some kid bought it off of me, and like this was when I was still in like middle school, and I was like, I don't care, I don't play with it anymore. He's like, I'll give you $5 for it, and then I found out it was worth like $200 at the time.
Oh,
I was like, I was kicking myself. Yeah. And then
I'll tell you what, man. I had someone walk in the store when I first opened, and they had a tub. Not a tub. It was a small tub. I don't want to think it was like this big, huge container, but a tub about 40 to 50 loose Hasbro's in it. And there were some good ones in there. Some of them were a little banged up, but there were some that were in good shape, and some of them were pretty, some pretty decent ones. So the first thing I always ask someone when they come in here and they're looking to sell me stuff, so a lot of people have done that over the last few months, and people just looking to get rid of their stuff. The first thing I ask right away is, what are you looking to get for this? Because I don't want to take advantage from anyone and offer something low and they think it's worth more money, and then or vice versa. So I always say first, what are you looking to get for this? So he gave me the price, and I would have paid definitely more for it.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely worth more than he was asking for it. But at the same token, I'm thinking in my head, like, it's not my responsibility to say, hey, I don't want to pay this for it. I want to give you this for it. I'm not going to offer to pay more money for it. So at the same token, they got to do their homework a little bit before they walk in selling their stuff. If I'm asking what they want for it and they tell me, I'm going to give it to them,
Yeah, absolutely. And, one thing.
But yeah, a lot of people, but some people just don't care either. But like I said, some people, it's just laying in their basement. And for them, a couple $100 is better than that box sitting in their basement. So like I said, one person's junk is another person's treasure.
Yeah. I think, I think it has a lot to do with maybe not the person's ignorance about it, but the value to it. Cause like I might not have collectibles like wrestling stuff or sports stuff, but like, they're everybody has it. If you own a house or have a basement or like a spare area, like that's where you put all the stuff that you just don't want to go through at the time. So it's like, oh, it's better getting rid of it, and whatever I get for it than having it sit and take up space instead of, putting new stuff in there or whatever it is. So
sure.
I totally get where that sentiment, but I do want to talk about, we talked a lot about the store just now, but even since then, I've been following it. If you guys want to check out, is it cool I know you promote it on your personal page, but where else are you promoting ISPW?
Well, I'm going to be promoting it on all my social media platforms.
I just don't want them to like bombard like your personal page and before I say that.
My wrestling's my full-time job now, so I guess nothing's personal anymore,
All right, fair enough. But, before I figured I would ask first, but ISPW is coming back. It was your own independent promotion that you ran in the 90s. I know a little bit about it from talking to you and other people. I'll credit Mike Johnson of PW Insider. He knows a lot about it. I believe he was at some of the original events, and John Arezzi. Just hearing them talk in the past about, knowing you and the promotion itself. I don't know if this is, the right way to put it, but it in many ways it feels like what a current indie promotion card looks like now, where you have big names that come in and you have a couple people, up and coming names that fill out the card. It's really, it gives everybody something to look forward to, whether it's like a local person that you are a fan of or somebody you saw on TV. It's a wide variety. It's not just booking to one person. You're trying to appeal to a very broad audience. Is that like fair to say that's what you were doing or what you're trying to do when you bring it back?
What 150% what I'm trying to do, and I'm happy that you picked up on that, because that's what I'm trying to do. It's a little bit for everyone. We have the show coming up on the return show will be on Sunday, September the 5th. It's an outdoor show, Labor Day weekend in Butler, New Jersey, at Memorial Field. It's Sergeant Slaughter and Rikishi are going to make special guest appearances there. Obviously, they're big, gigantic names, and draw in those casual fans that they might not know who some of the current guys are in wrestling because they're not watching it. But hey, and anyone, if you ever watch wrestling, you know who Sergeant Slaughter is. Or Rikishi was one of the big stars during the Attitude Era. So those two names right there is the hook. It's the hook to get them in. And then we have Sam Moo from the Headstringers, who I just had for a virtual signing this past Monday night. He was actually back in the late 90s. He was the ISPW world champion, one of them. So I'm bringing him back. He's going to team up with his son Lance, and they're gonna do a tag team match. So it's gonna be cool to have Sam, step back in the ring and tag with his son. And then for old ECW fans, we're having an ECW Originals match with Nunzio against Danny Doring. And then for someone that likes the old WWF style wrestling, WWE style wrestling, I'm having Gilbert against Matt Striker. So so you're grabbing ECW fans, you're grabbing some WWF fans. The big names they're grabbing casual fans. I'm having a women's match. Crowbar's going to be there against LSG from Ring of Honor. So now you're grabbing some of that audience, the Ring of Honor audience. And then I'm having Bull James, formerly from NXT, Bull Dempsey. He's going to be there. So maybe grab some of the people from the NXT audience. So I'm happy that you picked up on that, because that's definitely what I'm trying to do. And then I'm having Dangerous Danny Davis come back to be the special guest referee for a match. This is his first time refereeing a match in how many years? A really long time. So I'm trying to play to everyone and build it up to everyone. And I'm happy that you picked up on that, because that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. And, on a related note, Lance is one of those guys that when I first, I think it's been like 10 years, maybe a little less, but he's one of those names I picked up on where I went to see whoever else it was like at a WrestlePro show, or, he was on the undercard, and I was like, oh, wow, this, he's a really good worker, but I didn't intend to go to see him, but started following his work since then. And, it's kind of cool to see that now he is one of the names that I recognize on the card. And maybe, somebody's in a similar position where they go to the event, as you said, September 5th. It's Memorial Field in Butler, New Jersey. Maybe they find somebody that they're a fan of. I know the women's match you referenced is Gabby Ortiz and Vicious Vicky. You might have seen her on some of the signing streams, or, Gabby is known throughout the tri-state area. Like, that there definitely is something for everybody. And I think it's, I think it's cool that you do have that format in mind, instead of just trying to like overload it and go for like a super indie. Because I can speak from what I've seen in the past year. Like, sometimes that doesn't always work. You bring all these people in, and it's like a detriment to you financially, or it doesn't draw the right way, or at least you're.
Well,
Go ahead.
No. I'm sorry. I was going to say, and it's one of the things I want to touch upon for a little bit. One of the main reasons why I'm bringing back ISPW, and that's because right now, we've all lived in the same world for the last year and a half. Where we're stuck in the house. There's nothing to do. There's nowhere to go because of the pandemic. So things are slowly starting to open back up. And people and families, they're dying to do something. They're dying to get out and be a part of something again. So I always, in the 90s and early 2000s, I always ran my wrestling events as fundraisers for schools, for youth sports, for fire departments, anything nonprofit. So that was something I always did, even back then. Outside of running in the summers of '98 and '99, I actually lived in Wildwood, New Jersey, and I used to run weekly shows at the Wildwood Convention Center, which were they were just awesome shows. And that's the only time I really didn't do shows that weren't fundraisers as far as wrestling matches go.
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing, Bill, unless you have a TV deal like a WWE or AEW or a Ring of Honor or anyone that has a TV deal right now. If you're just an independent wrestling promotion, sure you're gonna grab on if you're running enough and you're running, doing things the right way and you're using the right guys and telling the right stories, you're gonna get a following.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people out there that don't do that. They just think that they can, put a card together, rent out their local VFW hall, and people are just going to magically show up to it. And it doesn't work that way in this day and age. And I'll tell you why, because, they have hours and hours and hours of free wrestling right in front of their faces every single day, from Monday Night Raw to NXT to AEW to SmackDown. That's 4 days right there. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday right there. Then you have the WWE Network that has everything on it. Then you have Ring of Honor. You have Impact. You have all this other stuff. You don't need to leave your house and spend any money to watch wrestling if you're a wrestling fan. So there needs to be, in my opinion, a reason why a family of four is going to get up on a Friday or Saturday night, drop $80 to $100 to go just to get in the door, and then buy food and soda and merchandise. There has to be a hook, in my opinion, and that hook is where you're doing it these events as fundraisers for the schools, for the fire departments, for the youth groups, where they want one. It's the right time to do it because people want to get out and they want to do something. Like I said, they've been trapped in their house for the last year and a half. Hey, there's going to be a wrestling show at the high school next Friday. It's a fundraiser for the class of 2022. Let's go out and support that. It's a hook, just like I said with Sergeant Slaughter and Rikishi, hook to get the people into the door to have them introduced to your guys, as the same as the fundraiser is a way to get them in the door, and then you hook them on again. You hook them on your guys. So Bobby, Sue, and their two kids, they're coming to the show. They don't know really anything about wrestling. They were fans back in the 80s or 90s. They're just going because it's a fundraiser for the school. But when you get them there and you introduce them to your show, they're blown away by it. They just hope their kids have the best time. Guess what? Chances are they're going to come back the next show. So I'm doing all my shows as fundraisers. I have a vast knowledge of fundraising before this. Like I said, I was the marketing director for California Pizza Kitchen. We did fundraisers. That was my main job, fundraisers for all our stores in New York and New Jersey. I'd set them up where they'd come in and everyone that bought a flyer, 20% of the bill got donated back to the organization. And I've done hundreds and hundreds of fundraisers with different groups. So I enjoy doing fundraising and I know how to do it. So actually right before the pandemic happened, I don't even know if you even know this or not, but I was doing stuff with Ring of Honor. It was last January or February. I was speaking to Greg, the GM, and they even had me set up with a email address and a Ring of Honor email address and everything. I was going to go into their markets where they were at and do what I was doing with California Pizza Kitchen, where I was, just say they had a wrestling show, and I'm just using this for example, in Reading, Pennsylvania. I would go into Reading, Pennsylvania, and look at all the well, not physically drive there. I would do it on the computer.
Yeah.
I would see what nonprofit organizations were in that area, and then I would try and set them up to be a part of the show as a part of a fundraiser, you know. So when I got furloughed from my job and then got let go from California Pizza Kitchen last year with the pandemic, and then I started doing my wrestling stuff again. Now over the last month, I decided to bring back ISPW. And one of the things I was thinking of before I decided to bring it back was like, why should I? Because we never touched base again. Me and Ring of Honor. There was nothing happened, nothing went wrong. It was just that the pandemic happened, and then the whole world turned upside down. So we lost communication with each other, but it was no one's fault. Just the pandemic happened, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking to myself, why should I go out and get them fundraisers now wrestling is my full-time job. It wasn't last year when I was to do this with them. So why should I go out and do that for them and get a piece of the pie when I can go out and get the whole pie myself, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if
so that's
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that was like one of the reasons why, in my mind, I decided to bring back ISPW. So it's going to be very, 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 very fundraiser driven related in the New Jersey area.
Do you? I know you're putting everything into the first event, but do you have an idea of a second one yet? Like, because you're thinking of it as a fundraising effort. Like, have you thought that far ahead yet, or are you really just concentrating on the first one?
No, I have other stuff I'm working on right now as well. I'm going to try and run this the whole area. So say there's a show the following weekend, 15 minutes away. There's no reason why you can't shoot a little something at that one show, and then try and grab them and bring them to the other show. Oh, you want to see what happens next? You want to see what happens? Just for example, A attacks B, leaves B laying. B wants revenge. Come see B get his revenge down the road next Saturday night. It's a way, if you're running close enough, even if you grab 1% of the people there, you keep doing 1% increase every show. I mean, you're gonna start seeing more people come.
Yeah. And it would be cool. I don't, we haven't talked about anything, but it would be cool to kind of see you get back into Wildwood or down that area, since that was an important part of why you did ISPW and why it was so successful back then. So nothing like going down the Jersey Shore. I remember going to a couple events. Like, I don't remember who, this was like not, I know it wasn't ISPW, but like for whatever reason, like I would always go on vacation and it's like, oh yeah, you're on vacation, you're at the beach, there's all this cool stuff to do. But like I would always ask my mom or like my grandparents, like they're advertising on the boardwalk, can I go see the show? Like, and they're like, you're on vacation and you want to spend it indoors at a wrestling event? I'm like, yeah.
Hell yeah, I do. That was a cool thing.
There was one in
when I used to run Wildwood.
Yeah,
because I did it every Thursday night. It's anyone that doesn't know Wildwood, it's probably like the biggest. I would say the biggest. It's not a resort. What am I looking for? Attraction place, tourist attraction place in New Jersey. Out of all the Jersey Shore, that's probably the most popular one, Wildwood. So you get a different audience in there every week. So I was able to run down there weekly because every week a new set of people are coming in. So I lucked out about that too. I made a friend down there whose grandmother worked in the office on the boardwalk that did the announcements on the loudspeaker. The Wildwood boardwalk is like 3 miles, so she was in charge of doing all the PA announcements throughout the day on the boardwalk. Anyhow, I became friends with her grandson, and he got me in with her, and I was able to record a minute commercial for it, and then she would play it all day long on the boardwalk the day of my show. So I mean, a 3 mile boardwalk with like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. And you hear, tonight, see the superstars of wrestling at the Wildwood Convention. Like it worked, man. It worked.
Yeah, I used to go down there with my family. We like it was like our yearly vacation, and I remember one year we went I think it was Isle of Palms in South Carolina, and they have a boardwalk too. And for whatever reason, I remember there was like some kind of indie show, but it was a bunch of ECW guys. So like legit, like I never saw ECW to that point, but there was like BWO, Steve Carino when he was doing his old school gimmick, Scorpio. So like, I don't know, like for me personally, there's always going to be that appeal of like beach wrestling. So, you know, I would like to see that happen for you, but I know we were talking a little bit before we started recording. Is there any other plans you have that, you know, maybe you can talk about as far as your future, whether it's promoting or events or anything like that?
Like I said, we spoke off record before before we started this. Nothing that I could talk about right now, but there's definitely a bunch of stuff in the works.
All right, fair enough. Everybody's gonna have to look forward to that. In the meantime, check out the virtual signings that are going on. You could check them out. The listings on 80s Wrestling Facebook page. We host every week on WrestleZone. We'll put up the stream. You can check out the schedule and all the stuff you can get. You can send in your own stuff, get photos to have the talent sign. And June 28th, tickets go on sale for ISPW's return. Check it out. You know, go see a lot of cool talent. And as Tommy just said, you're going to be supporting a good cause. It's going to be a fundraising venture. And just, you know, wanted to say thanks for your time today. And I appreciate you,
Hey, man,
catching me up on everything. I know you got a lot going on.
Thank you, man, because first of all, thank you. And I sincerely appreciate all the support WrestleZone and yourself gives me. You guys broadcast all of our virtual signings and, you know, get a ton of more eyes on it than would it be due to your efforts. And I just can't say how much I appreciate that. And also, you know, just throughout me, ever since you posted that interview and story about me being one of the best in the business for 2020, it's like, that was like the push I needed. Like, I feel like a lot of momentum took off for me and stuff that I'm doing since then. And I can't say how much I appreciate you writing that and thinking that highly of me and all the press you've been giving us. So I appreciate it, man.